All right, I would like to welcome Leonora Rodriguez, gerontologist, back to Arts West CT to continue the conversation about healthy aging and what it takes to make a senior-friendly community. Um, Thanks for making the time for us today. Leonora, as we learned last time, is a gerontologist, artist, pursuing an PhD in health-related sciences with a focus on the social aspects of aging in relation to creativity throughout the lifespan. I love that phrase. She has a Master's of Science in Gerontology from McDaniel College, a Bachelor's of Science in Studio Art, Painting, Art Education from Southern Connecticut State University. Leonora is the Executive Director of the Milford Senior Arts Center in our nearby Milford CT, and a resident of West Haven. So feet in different communities with a strong theme of your work in gerontology throughout. Thanks for coming back, and I will turn it over to you.
Right. Well, thank you, everyone. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see me, but I might have seen a picture of me. Unfortunately, I'm on a little bit on the road, but I wanted to really just get everyone on board with what healthy aging is, what it looks like, what it should be, what we want to become as we age forward. A lot of times people think of aging as this process that only begins when we hit a certain age. Generally, that age people think of aging is about 50. But when you're 50, you don't think about aging until you're about 60. And then at 60, you don't think of being an aged person until you're 70. So what we learn is that aging is just around the corner from us. It's never really us at that moment, which is actually a very positive way to think about aging. It's not really an age-specific thing. It's really about how we go through the process. And everyone really discovers their own aging path based on what their experience were as a child and as they progress through caring for parents, becoming a parent or a grandparent. And a lot of times that early stages of when we're children, we see an older person and we say one of two things. And it's basically based on what we are familiar with in our family. So if our family members are older, you have a lot of older loved ones in your family when you're a child and you see them active, engaging, you're going to say, wow, this is what aging is like. Maybe you don't say it out loud when you're 4 or 5 years old, but there is a perception to it based on our earliest memory of it. So if you're an individual who did not have a lot of older adults around you, you may really not have that connection, really not know what it means as you go through the aging process. Now, on the flip side of it, if you only saw older adults, older folks in and around your family that were suffering and ill and having troubles with their health, then a lot of time we take that and we place it on ourselves and say, gee, this is what I have to look forward to. So our perception really, really helps guide our aging, but specifically how we age healthy. So I'm not sure if you're on the slide yet, but there's a slide that should come up that says, what is healthy aging? Tell me when we're there so I can continue.
That is exactly what we're looking at. Thank you.
Okay, very good. So as it says, healthy aging is the organic process and cumulative result of positive behaviors that maintain and emphasizes a proper lifestyle, good nutrition, and integrative social engagement is the collective outcome of conscientious living. Healthy aging includes keeping a balance between the various gains and losses that occur over time and minimizing the influence of factors unrelated to aging. So all that really means is how you look at aging is how you're going to age, right? But what you put into your, let's call it a little bag of aging, for the lack of words, what do you put into it? Are you putting in good memories? Are you putting in good health? Are you putting in good practices? And if you're not putting that into your little bag there, then what are you filling that bag up with? So I'm not saying go out and only eat carrots and celery and starve yourself. I'm saying bring enjoyment to your life, but also do it in a healthy manner. So it might be as simple as going out in the afternoon and taking a walk. Or it may just be, if you can't walk that far, maybe just going out and getting some fresh air. The benefits of living by the shore is we have a beachfront where we can go out, we can just enjoy that nice fresh air, or just sit and listen to music or watch people passing by. It doesn't always have to be this um, very active. I'm jogging down the boardwalk. It's more so how are we just really getting out there and really involving ourselves with life. And then once again, on the flip end of it is how do we balance the things that may be naturally occurring to us as a process of illness or disease based on our genetics. So myself, I'm diabetic. So I've known I'm going to be diabetic since I was 10 years old. I didn't become diabetic until I was 19, but I knew at that point, even at an early age, by seeing my parents having diabetes and my grandparents having diabetes, that good chances is that I would develop diabetes. So having that knowledge, even at a very young age, meant that I knew that if I ate certain things, it might bring my blood sugar up. And in the other end, if I ate, maybe better options, it might keep my blood sugars balanced. So it's about those balances that we're looking at in life, and really that's the aging, the healthy aging process is what you're once again putting into it. Now, I really don't like to talk about unhealthy aging, but the unhealthy portions of it is when we knowingly are putting ourselves at risk. So, what's a risk factor? Well, besides things that genetically can happen to you, it's things in your environment that you can actually control. There are some uncontrollables, as we all know, but things in your environment that we can control, such as choosing to take up cigarette smoking. A lot of people are ditching cigarettes and they're going to e-cigarettes. And last time in my discussion, we talked about how we're doing worse in cigarette and e-cigarettes, I want to say, in West Haven. I don't think we were on the better side of that. We were still worse off than Connecticut average, I want to recall. We have different programs available in the community, so that if that's a decision you say, I've been smoking for 25 years and today's the day I'm going to do it because, gosh darn it, I'm going to do it for myself, for my family, my friends, for better health, whatever it might be. Oftentimes we only make these decisions to change our lifestyle when faced with a life altering scenario where your doctor says, hey, listen, we're seeing that you're huffing and puffing going, from here to the top of your stairs. It might be something worse. That's when we always focus on it, when it's almost too late. But I always like to look at it and say it's never too late to make positive changes for yourself. And it really takes one little step at a time. And that little step is your own motivation. I tell people you cannot try to do a buddy system for health, as much as it sounds like it's a great idea to grab a buddy, because the day your buddy decides that they want to go and not, exercise or not go for that walk or go back to whatever habits they might have, you're not going to have that buddy. And a lot of times we kind of slide backwards. We have to be very disciplined, and it's really challenging. The whole practice of healthy aging is challenging. You're consistently just working on yourself. So let's move on to the next slide, which should say, what is conscientious living? So kind of going on the same track with our healthy aging is conscientious living. So what it involves is the ability to remain independent as one advances in age through primary aging. Okay, so I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit about primary aging without going too deep into it. Primary aging is essentially aging without any diseases. So going back to myself as a diabetic, it would be very difficult for me to go through primary aging as a diabetic because I already have an illness that's lifelong. It doesn't mean that I cannot have healthy aging. It's just that it's going to be a little bit more challenging as I go through the lifespan. I'm going to have to be very conscientious about my intake, my food, my medicine, my exercise, really that three-legged stool for my health. Okay, So if I have a stool, and everyone has a stool, okay, mine has 3 little legs on it. Yours might have 4. Mine has 3, and mine really is, how do I keep my diabetes in check? It's really making it a focus, not being neurotic about it, but being conscientious of it, being aware of it at all times. So I know that I have to make sure I take my medication. I know I have to eat right. And eating right, whatever eating right is for me, because I do have pizza from time to time. And the other is really engaging in activity, and it doesn't necessarily need physical, but engaging in life activity. So as I mentioned, and as an example, walking the boardwalk. Today, I walked a mile with my coworker. It wasn't very far, and the conversation was nice. And really, it was just about a block and a half. It wasn't really too far, it didn't seem. So just those little steps is how I keep my stool balanced. And I have to be mindful as I age that maybe my diet's going to change a little bit and my stool's going to be a little wobbly. So I really have to kind of put a wedge underneath it. Maybe put like a rolled up napkin and try to keep it even, whatever we need to do to keep it from wiggling. So the next part is this independence. So when we talk about independence as we age, it's exactly what it sounds like. How are we managing our own lives? So independence is possible through a person's ability to focus on their personal biopsychosocial needs now and as they age. So biopsychosocial, and fancy little smushed up word together, is how we're doing in our physical, how we're doing mentally, emotionally, and socially. And there is a big connect. And a lot of times we do lose that as we age. We find that when we're younger adults, working adults, child rearing ages, it's somewhat easy for us to make connections with others. Whether it's friends of your children or coworkers or whatnot, friends from high school, college, etc. But we have this connection with others, but oftentimes we lose that as we age. We find that our circle of friends will get smaller. They may move away at older ages or even younger ages. We lose friends, to death, and it challenges us because we're faced with that loneliness, ultimately. But it is necessary for us to move and keep ourselves in that forward direction of maintaining ourselves social and engaged out there. So in secondary aging, the person may need to become codependent or interdependent with a specific aspect of their health care. When I previously worked in assisted living, I remember folks coming in and saying, I did everything independently. I have nothing, that no one needs to help me. And they struggle with the idea of getting help. And the way I addressed it was by saying, listen, you are independent. You can choose all these areas of your life, but there is some need for interdependency, meaning that we're helping together. Think about it as a chain link fence or a necklace of sorts. We grasp onto each other to make ourselves stronger and together. One link alone is not going to make too much of a difference, but if you link up with others that can help support in whatever manner it is needed, you're going to have a better overall outcome. And you're going to, within the support system that you have, you're going to be able to continue to, work towards whatever it is that health-wise that you're working on. And sometimes in the relation, when it comes to aging and illness, there may not be a positive outcome, to be honest, but the road does not have to be alone. And that's one of the key things, is that in secondary aging, we look at the person as needing others, but it's not a alone. It should not be a process where you're dealing alone. It's a time that, your neighbor, your friend, that your healthcare provider is that person who, maybe, figuratively or speaking, it might be holding your hand. They might just be a person to talk to that is professional and you're comfortable with. So that's another portion of our conscientious living part of it. But so well-being, going to well-being. Well-being can be met by engaging in healthy aging practices such as managing diseases and remaining socially active. I'm always going to talk about that when it comes to healthy aging, is the management of our diseases and not ignoring them, and also remaining socially active. I've had many people that I've met along the way that their disease consumes them, not necessarily because of the disease itself, but because of them thinking about it all the time and not getting out of that mental place where they could still be living life and enjoying life. A sense of belonging, being wanted and valued as a part of the community, helps older adults remain independent at home or within their community. So at the Milford Senior Center, we have a large number of volunteers who are retirees. There are a lot of older adults, probably a good 90%. And there, what I find is that they're enjoying their time there because they're engaging with others. They're doing something they like. They get out of their house. This literally was a conversation I just had about 2 hours ago. And they feel good giving back. And in that giving back and having a reason to get out of the home to be social and engaged, you retain that independence much more. Now, for individuals who have a physical reason that they cannot go out and do something like volunteering, there's other things that can be done that'll still allow for independence. We'll go into that in a slide or two. So next slide should say remaining active as we age. I hope.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So remaining active as we age. So what should we do? This is my favorite part. Now, I had been in therapeutic recreation for a long time, maybe about 15 years. That's a long time for me. And what I learned is the individuals I served, the ones who remained active, even if they were in a long-term nursing, assisted living, adult day, or at the senior center, those who kept participating were the ones who really were thriving. You know, it makes sense. It really does. If you consider if you had a choice, and some people have this choice all the time, to sit in front of the TV for 10 hours a day, or going out and having a nice conversation or a cup of coffee or tea with a friend, even for half an hour, that interaction with a friend is going to outweigh whatever it is on TV for 10 hours, give or take. There are some series on Netflix that are quite engaging, but the idea is to get out and be social. So participating in hobbies and other social activities may lower risk for developing some health problems, including dementia, heart disease, stroke, and some types of cancer. So with dementia, having been an area that I was involved with for a long time, and I also had a family member, my father, who unfortunately did have dementia, keeping him and others active really kept your mind going. We talk about cognitive games. People always give me this little look when they say cognitive game, brain games. I'm not going to do that. Well, when you call it that, it might sound silly, but doing puzzles, if you're on your own, puzzles of any type, jigsaw puzzles, those Sudokus people are really excited still about. There's different types of puzzle activities that can get your brain to move. But better than that, it's really being with another person or animal companion, because animals have a wonderful place when it comes to engaging with people and keeping active. As you imagine, if you have a dog, walking the dog and taking the dog outside, or even a cat, engaging with the toys and whatnot. But when we look at, these activities and how they can lower the risk, we're looking at that piece where people are getting out of the seat, getting out of their space, and going out into the daytime, going into another space, another room, seeing other things. It actually has a positive effect on our brain. Our brain really enjoys it. It lights up. It lights up like you wouldn't believe, and it's very happy. And with heart disease and stroke, we're looking at that physical part of it. If you're walking and doing things, if you're moving, circulating our blood is very important. I've offered chair exercises for people, even if they weren't able to get up from their chair or the wheelchair, just to really get their extremities up and about, because that really, all that blood needs to pump through our bodies. So engaged adults are happier and less depressed. Go figure. This is not anything truly scientific, but it is in a way. It is proven that not only that loneliness and isolation leads to more risk factors of depression and increased feelings of sadness. We saw that during COVID. We're seeing it with all ages. We're seeing with the young, we're seeing with the old, and everyone in between. That period that we were separated and confined and quarantined had a very negative effect on our mental health, and it made us, quite frankly, depressed. Studies suggest that older adults who participate in activities they find meaningful, such as volunteering in their communities or being physically active, say they feel happier and healthier. Okay, great. Why would that be? If you're getting out, you may be, in the healthier part of it, choosing healthier food options, as well as that physical portion of it. So I always like to go back into how what we eat does help us. And sometimes I'll tell you, if I'm vegging out on my couch and I find a bag of chips, I will probably take down that whole bag of chips if no one takes it from me. But when I actively choose to go outside on a nice day with my easel and paint, I'm having a nice fresh lemonade. I'm kind of listening to the birds, maybe listening to some music. I'm standing, it's a different atmosphere altogether. So remaining active also helps us be better prepared to cope. When people feel happier and healthier, they are more likely to be resilient. Positive emotions, optimism, physical and mental health, and a sense of purpose are all associated with resilience. So what's interesting is during one of my studies, I conducted a study on older adults and COVID-19 and the effects of it and epidemiology and origins, etc. But I was looking at one piece that discussed resiliency in older adults. And what the studies that I found concluded were that many times older adults coped better with, I had to say, traumatic events versus younger adults. And the rationale and reason for it is because life kind of has gone through that person. So that person has seen so many events that they said, if I could survive that, then I could survive this. It's that what doesn't kill you make you stronger approach, but it truly is, a real thing. And that's one of the beauty I find in getting older is that we gain that knowledge that not everything is permanent, although it may feel that way. And oftentimes we need to kind of push through as best as we can with support when necessary. And with younger adults and children, they haven't really developed that yet. They haven't gone through as many traumatic type of events. This is the most traumatic event of COVID-19 that young adults, actually all of us, but young adults on their own had experienced. Whereas many individuals have experienced many different things, from wars to terrorism and everything else in between. And I do understand that younger adults and school-age adults have their own set of traumatic events that we never had to deal with. But they have not been able to develop the amount of, I hate to say, time in dealing with tragic life events that is generational, So next it says, remaining active as we age, we have a longer lifespan. As I was saying, studies looking at people's outlook and how long they live show that happiness, life satisfaction, and sense of purpose are all linked to living longer. doing things that you enjoy may help cultivate these positive feelings. I had two people that I worked for in two different places, a nursing home and assisted living. One gentleman was his name was Don, and he was 100 years old when I met him, and he was the strongest little man I've ever met in my entire life. He just had this like amazing personality, and just he walked so assured of everything. Like there's nothing stopping him. And I said, Don, I need to know your secret. What's your secret to longevity? And he stopped looking at me and he goes, I eat spaghetti and meatballs every day. And I'm like, oh, okay. Spaghetti and meatballs is not really good for me, but it worked for him. But he also had a positive attitude. Everyone was a friend to him. There was nothing that you could literally say to him that he would take and turn into a negative. He would always find some way to bring it back to this good place. And I really admire that. The other person's name was Dottie. Dottie came, I came to meet Dottie when she was 94 years old. And she wanted to become an artist. She said, I want to be the Grandma Moses of this place here. And I said, okay, Miss Dottie, let's see what we can do. And she showed me these painting of cats. And I said, what is that? She goes, these are cats. I said, no, they're not. These are not cats. These are what nightmares are made of. And she laughed at me. And she said, absolutely. I want to learn. I want to learn how to make them look like cats. I want to make their eyes and their fur. And I said, great. How much time do you have? She goes, how much time do you need? I said, well, let's do this. So for 6 years, I worked with Dottie to work on the cats. And she became proficient at cats. And later on with other animals, giraffes and elephants and bears. And she left behind for her family and grandchildren, great-grandchildren, I want to say over 80 paintings that she gave freely to all her family and friends. And it's something she wanted to do. And her happiness was giving to her family and giving to her friends. So she found that sense of purpose with her art in a later age. And just as much as Don found his purpose and just being just an approachable person throughout his life. Lastly, it says research suggests that participating in certain activities, such as those that are mentally stimulating or involve physical activity, may have a positive effect on memory. And the more creative activities, such as music or dance, can help older adults with memory problems or dementia. Yeah, absolutely. Involving yourself in the arts and the dance and music, all of that works in our brains. It turns our brains on, and our brains love it. And you don't have to be an amazing musician, artist, dancer, etc. Just be. And being is a wonderful thing in life. Being able to say, you know what, today's the first day. I'm going to go to karaoke tonight. I'm gonna give it my all. And unless they boo me out, I'm gonna sing again. So next, I think last is activities to consider. So I kind of mentioned a couple things with painting with Dottie and eating spaghetti with Don. With activities to consider. I hope you're on that slide.
Yes.
So, okay, great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So first off, we're connecting with family and friends. You know, I know, as I mentioned, where some folks might live far away from family, friends might have moved away or passed on, but you can still connect with family and friends. And remember, families are the people you choose at times, not necessarily those who are blood related to you. And friends are all around us if we're willing to look. So things that we can do, and these are just some ideas. So playing cards or other games with friends in person or online, because we have that option, of course. Travel with a group of older adults, such as a retiree group, or with a mixed group of an adult. So it doesn't necessarily have to be older adults, but it could be with mixed age adults as well. Video chat or call your friends and family members. I know as much as we're in this digital world and we're texting, an old-fashioned phone call, that's a good way to connect with people still. Try different restaurants with your loved ones. Yes, there are plenty of restaurants here in West Haven and in the surrounding areas. In New Haven, obviously, we know we have a food mecca there. We have food all around us. Make it a point if you can to choose a new restaurant, maybe once a month or how often you can. My mother and I have been going and trying a new restaurant every Friday for many years. We moved it to Saturdays, but for many years, and we would go all over Connecticut. We'd find a place. Sometimes it was a hit, sometimes it was a miss, but we always had a good time. And she would do that with her friends as well locally. And listen and share favorite music with your family. As much as food is something that can bind us together, music is as well. So you might have a certain style of music, and maybe someone else has something different. Listen to each other's music. Talk about it. What makes your music so enjoyable to you? Learn something new. So in learning something new, take a cooking and art, dance, language, or computer class. Try yoga, Tai Chi, or another new physical activities such as cornhole or pickleball. Those are some very popular activities. Learn or relearn how to play a musical instrument. At the Milford Senior Center, I actually teach ukulele class. Not because I'm the best at it, but I enjoy it and I love sharing that with others. So I have a small little group of other people that want to give the little ukulele a pluck here and there. Visit local museums. Many of them, as you already know, offer free group tours and educational programs. And I want to say in our libraries, I hope they still do it, but they offer free passes, either free or very, very reduced passes to different museums all over Connecticut. And that's really nice because you can get a group pass for anywhere between 2 to 6 individuals. It's a nice it's a nice thing that libraries offer to residents. Become more active in your community. And for many people, it's a challenge to do this, but there are different ways to do this. You can visit a community or senior center and take part of its events and activities, or volunteer there. Help serve meals or organize a clothing donation for people in need. There are definitely different organizations here in West Haven that could benefit from volunteers. Help with gardening at a community garden or even a park. We have lovely community garden, and we have lovely parks here in town. Organize a park cleanup through your local recreation center or community association. Sing in a community choral group or play in a local band or orchestra. Even get a local part-time job or explore opportunities online, which there are plenty, believe it or not. And lastly, go out and get moving, really. Get moving. That's one of the best ways we can continue to be healthy as we age, is to continue to go out and get moving. So do some gardening, indoor, out, do some yard work if you're able to. Not saying, acres, but maybe it's just a little area in your front yard or your backyard. Take an exercise class or do even exercises at home. YouTube is fantastic. There's lots of different exercise programs. I use a couple, especially in the colder months where I don't want to be outdoors. I turn on my YouTube and I have my own little playlist I've created for myself, and I've shared it with my mother-in-law, who also likes to do the same type of exercises. Go dancing. Boardwalk usually has music out once a week, once the weather is all nice. Well, the weather's nice. Go out there and dance. Enjoy yourself. Walk or maybe bicycle with a friend or neighbor if that's something you like to do. Take a swim class. As I mentioned before, do some Tai Chi or yoga. And lastly, cook your favorite healthy meal. Do something for yourself. Even with the cost of food and everything rising, there are still ways to prepare a meal that is healthy and is perfectly sized for you if you're by yourself or a small family. So I'm going to segue that back over to Eleanor, because we do have another program that's coming up next week, and that talks a little bit about our cooking for one and how to kind of eat healthy. So that's basically everything I had for today. I thank you for listening. If you would like to reach out to me, I provided my email, my phone number, and my website. Although I now notice it's spelled incorrectly, it's rodriguezgerontology.com. So it's RODRIGUEZ, gerontology, which is also another long word, .com. If you have any questions, if you'd like to email me or call me, like I said, you're more than welcome to. And thank you very much for listening.
Well, thank you so much, Leonora. And we're going to figure out ways to incorporate many of these strategies into our community programs. We want West Haven to be a place where aging is something that's always still around the corner. And to that end, we have State Representative Trenae McGee, who is an artist and a West Haven resident, who has been bringing in some interesting programs to the Preet senior living community. Trenae, are you able to turn on your mic and tell us a little bit about how that's going?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm late. I just have a few minutes. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're coming in loud and clear.
I just left teaching some kids at my studio, and we started acting workshops at Preet. We were supposed to go in this week, but because of scheduling conflicts, we had to change till next week. And I'm really excited about it. On the campaign trail, I asked the seniors what things would be interested in doing. And one of my committees at the Capitol is aging. And so I think giving seniors like Leonora has been doing and Eleanor has been doing and championing, giving them opportunities that they wouldn't have because of their age, builds community interest and keeps them living longer. And so next week we're going to do an acting out workshop, and the part 2 to that is a creative writing workshop where we're just going to write poems and monologues about their experiences. And we found success when we did like a simple breakfast. We brought them muffins, and the coordinator said this is the most seniors that ever come down for an event. So you guys did a great job. And when we found out why so many came down, it was just as plain and simple as the food was different. They were tired of pizza and they were tired of pasta and they wanted something different. And that day we came with muffins and croissants. So it was clear that like we have a community of elders here who are like not demanding, but they just want simple support and community. So I'm really looking forward to that at Preet. And it's, great minds think alike. Artists are always buzzing around and doing some of the same things. So Eleanor and I, we're doing that the same day as the cooking event that's happening at the church. So I'm excited for that, and I'll be sure to keep everyone updated.
Well, being able to team up on that in the future sounds like a great idea, on a
day.
day.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Well, that has been a spark today to light a fire with Leonora's great information and the inspiration and the feedback you're getting from the community. We will put our culinary arts and acting arts together for the senior community. And there's also a partnership with the library. And I know you can't stay on very long, Trenae, so if you need to drop off, I totally understand. Just want to make a few more announcements. We got a couple friends here still on the line. The partnership with the library is budding, and they are beginning to get a senior committee together. They've had a teen advisory board for years, and they're going to put together a senior advisory board. So that's something good to know about. And Leonora is going to curate a show of art by seniors that's going to be happening in the fall. And they want to do multi-generational programs that might include music or potentially acting. The library also is looking forward to an actual memory care model where they bring in speakers and practitioners and community members with different kinds of lived experience on different topics that's stimulating in this to the senses and to people's ideas and movement for a good quality of life. And Nasira, I see you're on here. I actually talked about you today at the library because when I was meeting with our contact there, she was talking about having a focus on fitness in, I think it's September, and wanting to find people who have incorporated fitness routines, that are kind of like the right level of demanding and, to avoid injury and stay active. And I know that you've been been walking and have had some great experiences, if I can tell on you and brag about you a little bit. So they'd love to have your presence if you want to go to the library and talk about that when the seniors meet on that topic in September. Surprise. I'll find a way for everybody to get involved in the act. So with that, I'm really happy that people were able to put together this conversation, and we'll be sharing it wider with people who weren't in the Zoom room with us today. And continue your good work on our behalf, Trinae, and I will see everyone next time. Are there any questions or any final thoughts before we pass off here?
Bye, and thank you for all you do, Eleanor. Seriously.
My pleasure. Bye.